Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today we'll be covering Jonah Hex Two Gun Mojo #1, published by DC Comics under their Vertigo label in 1993. We have a brilliant cover from series artist Timothy Truman and Sam Glanzman, showing our titular character here, Jonah Hex, posing with a classic Western revolver and a skull with some vampiric teeth in the background. Very cool cover. This is not the Jonah Hex that we had recently seen in DC Comics. When last Jonah Hex appeared in his own series, it was called Hex, a sci-fi take on Jonah Hex. And prior to that, he was a long-running Western character in the DC Comics universe. And there were some really great creators who worked on that title for many years. But this is a 90s edgy recreation or reboot of Jonah Hex, tinged with some elements of the supernatural, and they couldn't have come up with a better team to handle it. So let's dive in and see what we have here. So on the inside cover, we have our series credits, our issue credits. Jonah Hex Two Gun Mojo, Chapter 1, Slow Goes Smith. Writer, Joe R. Lansdale. Penciler, Timothy Truman. Inker, Sam Glanzman. Color artist, Sam Parsons. Letterer, Todd Klein. Cover artists are Tim Truman and Sam Glanzman. Assistant editor, Julie Rottenberg. Editor, Stuart Moore. And we have this awesome splash page here of Jonah Hex in profile. You can see the hideous scars that the character is known for, and him once again holding a revolver in this other pose here. He is a scion of the Confederacy, which is a bit problematic, but it doesn't come up too much in this series. And this is post-Civil War, and he's kind of a wandering bounty hunter at this point. He was a hero to some, a villain to others, and wherever he rode, people spoke his name in whispers. John Albano. It's a little quote there. And we'll see this throughout this issue, where you have these incredible, almost, I would call them, the kayfabe guys would call them money shot pages. And on those pages, Truman and Sam Glanzman actually have their distinctive signature button here, which is neat. By this time, in the 90s, artists have kind of wised up to the idea that their art is going to be sought after and command money, big money. So it's wise to sign that stuff, and you see it again here at the bottom. So our story opens essentially here on page 2 with what looks like our main character in some trouble. We can see a great sequence of panels here showing a horse being ridden by this colorful looking character with a top hat and feathers, and someone is being dragged, and that's the distinctive coat of Jonah Hex. And this is he's being dragged from behind this horse, tied by the hands here rather unceremoniously, and looks like painfully. This here story starts one morning bright and early with me taking a little trip through the countryside. So here we see these three roustabouts or ruffians here dragging Jonah Hex in a cloud of dust. The trip was a mite unpleasant, and you can see a closer look at Hex's tormentors here. One interesting thing about Tim Truman's work at this time, leading through his work on Scout for First Comics, and then he did The Spider, which was a pulp hero, and then he did Hawk World for DC. It has an almost it has a depth and an almost hyper realism that reminds me of noted fantasy artist from the 90s, Timothy Bradstreet. It has a photorealism, and I'm guessing that in some instances Truman is using photographic reference to do some of these characters. And of course, we've got to attribute a lot of this to Inker Sam Glanzman as well, but the bones of this are Truman, obviously. Since the fellas conducting it were a smidgen on the uncivilized side, even if they was nice enough to knock the dust off me. So here they stop dragging Hex, and they get him to his feet, and then they beat him some more, and then they get ready to truss him up and hang him. To add one of them insults to an injury, horse they dragged me with was my own cayuse, old lard brain. And now the critter was going to help hang me. You shouldn't have shot our sister, Hex. Damn sow tried to bushwhack me. Spitting backer juice in her eye while she was a lying there dying, that's low. I was spitting at the hole I shot in her head. I was a mite off, 'cause I'd been sick. And then, with that pithy remark, it looks like Hex is about to be hung by these ruffians when crack from off panel, a shot rings out and we hear damn. And it looks like the shot, whatever the shooter was trying to hit, he ends up blowing Hex's horse's, a hole in Hex's horse's head. Another shot, blam, damn again, goes through this guy's top hat. And then finally, blam, he puts a shot through this guy's head. And then at this point, Hex's horse collapses and he's hanging there precariously trying to keep himself from choking to death. More shots are ringing out. Where the hell is he? Right here, you polecat. And we see our first appearance of Slogo Smith. Now, this is a great page. If I were Truman and Glansman, I would definitely have put my little button signature down on this one too, because this shot of Slogo Smith is totally awesome, with its just very cool juxtaposition of his rather motley garb, his eccentric look. He's just very cool looking character here, and we get to see a lot of him in this issue. He's very fun. So meanwhile, Hex is hanging here. Blam! Slogo shoots one of the other ruffians. Then the last of the three gets on his horse and tries to ride away. Great panel here. We see a storm brewing. And we can see Slogo has his rifle still, and he's going to target this guy. Blam! Blam! He hits his horse. Then he shoots him. Double damn. My marksmanship ain't so good, son, but I shoot long enough. I finally hit something. I ain't got no beef with you, son. So he uses his cavalry saber to cut Hex down, who's looking a little worse for the wear here, but still alive, thankfully. You missed one of the horses, Grandpa. You complaining, son? Just stating a fact. I owe you one. So he's a little horse. I like the Todd Klein's lettering here, where he shows Hex's hoarseness with the shape of the sort of wispy shape of the word balloons. Very cool. And again, every panel is just so filled with depth. The colors are remarkable from Sam Parsons. This issue is just a tour de force of Western violence and weirdness. I was bounty hunting these fellas anyway, but why I figure you owe me 3. Reckon you're right. Name's Hex, Jonah Hex. I heard you're a bounty hunter too. Guess you've heard of me, Slogo Smith. Nope. Oh. He won't need this no more. Reckon not. Want to split what these fellas got? I don't pick dead men's pockets. Good. I got an expensive backy habit. And I always liked the notion of having me a watch. Wish I knew how to tell time. Hauling these fellas to Mud Creek might be a little bothersome. I'll just take enough of them back to get my money. That's a one way to doing business. This hoss you missed. Reckon I'll take up with him if you don't mind. Less, of course, you done shot your own. And if I did mind, reckon it wouldn't matter much. Great shot here of just a little tinge of menace from Hex, even though he is obviously in debt with his life to Slogo Smith. He's still gonna be the one who sort of has hand in this relationship. That's what I figured. Might have been more decent of me to pull them boys over in the bushes. Hell, old man, what's the point of making it hard on the buzzards? Hadn't thought of that. So here, in almost kind of a mockery of the classic Western where the heroes ride into the sunset, these two are riding into this blazing sunset here, this jackrabbit in the foreground, and then suddenly we see this sliver of a panel here with them still riding at night when the moon is high. So here they arrive in a town. Mud Creek was a cozy little town. A regular paradise if you was a maggot. So a lot to look at in these panels here. Truman loads them with detail. Appears to be a bum sleeping in this alleyway here. There's a guy laying on the ground in the swinging door entrance of this saloon, which is called Ain't You Et Yet? Fine Food. Food, beer, rooms. Here's a dog sniffing at the carcass of a dead dog, and then some dead guys here are being photographed in their coffins. Very much reminiscent of pictures you might see from Old West towns. Think I ought to light it? This colorfully dressed guy says. It'd just go out, you fool. Y'all spread out there. So, Professor Argonne, your daguerreotype with a bad man, 25 cents. Wave it there, fly, off in the hole in his head, will you? So these little details are what make this just so cool and impactful, and very grim. So here the picture is lined up, and poof, it is taken. And here we see our results, or we will see them in the future. Very cool. This could have come out of one of those Time Life Old West books, you know, the ones that are bound in real hand-tooled leather. If you know, you know, those commercials from the late 70s and early 80s. So here we have Hex and Slogo looking on. Here's a little sign, Cattlemen's Association. Hey, gents, wait up a minute. You fellas want to buy some postcards of the Price Gang? They ain't the ones we got laid out now. Them pictures ain't been developed. Them's the Traywicks over there. That right, the Traywicks. So you can see a little bit of concern on Slogo's face here, and we'll see what that reference is in a minute. Bunch of fellas recognized them and surprised them coming out of the cafe this morning before they could do any robbing and such. How about that, Slogo says. Shot living hell out of every last one of them, this guy says. And Hex asks him, how many did you shoot? And he spits tobacco on his boot. Great shot here in this little panel, 3-panel sequence. Wasn't around then. Actually, I'm more in charge of Chamber of Commerce activities. That's so. Ain't no cards of the Traywicks. That's a disappointment. And here we see the button here of our two artists. Great shot of these two walking away. You can kind of get to see the difference in their heights. And again, you get to see the colorfulness of their garb. But we got some pictures of the Price Gang, and we got them stuffed over at delivery. You want to look. They're flaking a little, but they still look good. Cost you a nickel to see them. No thanks. All right, that's high, but these are 3 for a nickel. Wouldn't want them with blood all over them, Hex says. What blood? Yorn, you don't get away from me. And great shot here of him turning and just showing the sheer menace of his disfigured face. He threatened me. That ugly bastard threatened me. Be glad threaten is all he did. Scars like that. Don't you know who that is? You mean, no. Yeah, that's Jonah Hex. His own damn self. He's killed more men than hell has souls. What a line. Totally awesome. From our writer, Joe Lansdale. And that actually shows up on this incredible back cover here. So these two have come to the office to collect Slogo's bounty. Right friendly, little Berg. Yeah, let's you and me move here. What can I do for you, gents? I'll be needing some money for these. Slogo has a bag of literally 3 heads. That there is the Traywicks, not the hombres y'all got laid out. Y'all shot them other men for eating breakfast. That's right, Sheriff. Me and the Traywicks was kind of close, and them heads belonged to them. They weren't a whole bunch less ugly with them knots attached. Hell, hope them other fellas ain't nobody anybody knows. That could be embarrassing, couldn't it? You're Jonah Hex, ain't you? Yep. I've heard about that scar. How'd you come by it? Damn toothpick slipped. You're one funny hombre, ain't you? Folks always tell me that. Great shot of the sheriff here. Cool, really cool personality conveyed in his grizzled old face with that handlebar mustache. Could easily see Sam Elliott playing this guy in the Jonah Hex two-gun Mojo movie that should have been made but never was. Moving on. Well, you boys are out of luck. It's me that's come for the money. Hex just happened to be hanging around. It don't matter who. Money for the reward was split up between the townsfolks for them boys down there in the boxes. Meaning? Meaning, there ain't no damn money, fellas. Shot them boys, drunk it up. Have to wait a couple of days so I can get a voucher through. You can pick it up then. Now, where'd I lay that dang bottle? So these two know they're not going to get any more out of this guy, and so they leave. Great shot of their expressions here as they're walking out. And Slogo says, you can't just shoot someone and get paid anymore. There's always some kind of paperwork. Hold you up. Damn Yankee and Washington bureaucrats. Let me buy you a drink, Slogo. Already got some, but I'll come and watch. And here we have a little clue of what's coming for us in the series. We see a little poster with this strange symbol. Doc Cross Williams, PhD, MD, DD, RRS, DJS. Wagon of Miracles coming. So now we have a shot of our, a panel here of our two protagonists in the saloon, and there's some other sort of unsavory looking characters in here, along with this native serving lady. What's for you, gents? Give us a whiskey and wipe the damn bar. We wipe the bar on Mondays. That's a nasty scar, mister. How'd you get it? Cut myself shaving. Oh. So once again, Hex overawes someone just with that menacing glare in his scarred face. This guy starts to sweat. Great shot of him sweating it out. Sort of reminds me a little bit of the barber in that awesome Clint Eastwood movie, High Plains Drifter. Oh, no. So here we have a scene of our native waitress here cleaning up the bar, and this unsavory individual spills his drink and then begins to harass her. Hey, Injun, honey, come here and wipe this up. So she goes over to try and clean up, and he grabs her. With your tongue, you red slut. Finish that can. Finish that. You can lick my boots. I like a right nice polish, girly. So this guy's a vile individual. And Hex, he's possessed of a rough honor code, and he's not going to have any of it. You can see here he's paying attention, and here in this panel he acts, smashing that guy over the head with a bottle. And he draws his pistol. Meanwhile, that guy's compatriot draws his pistol, but Hex spins and kicks the table, knocking him down. While you're down there, boy, lick your buddy's boots. He wants them cleaned so bad. So this is a sequence that's going to play out over a page or more. No, they're fine. I heard you say you wanted them licked. Me too. I don't see so good, but I hear right smart. And them boots do look a mite soiled to me. Ain't that cow hockey on the toe there? I don't lick no one's boots for nobody, the guy says, but Hex smashes his face into the ground with his boot. Great shot there. Wonk. I say you're a boot-licking son of a bitch, and you'd suck the jam from between a dead man's toes. It's just an Indian, mister. He licks the boots or eats lead. No dialogue on this page, which is awesome because Joe Lansdale, as the scripter on this series, is really good at knowing when to have characters speak and then knowing when to have them shut up and let Tim Truman and Sam Glanzman and Sam Parsons art speak. So this is a tremendous juxtaposition where we have a page with some really well-written dialogue, and then we have a page where the art is telling the story. It's doing all the heavy lifting here. Great sequence here as we see maybe Hex doesn't notice, The barman has pulled a rifle, and he's going to try to intercede on behalf of these two scumbags. But Slogo Smith sees, draws a pistol from his satchel, and instead of shooting it, hurls it and hits the barman in the head with it. Whack! Great shot there. About them boots. Be sure and get just under the toe. A lot of old stuff jams up there. So this guy licks the boots just as Hex tells him to. He values his life. He knows how dangerous Hex is. Why'd you throw your damn guns, Slogo? Figured I had a better chance of hitting them that way. Good thinking. Clean enough. Both of you, get out. Hear of you or him bothering this here gal again, me and Slogo will feed you something ain't as tasty as them boots. Count on it. Great shot here of the profiles of the characters as the two scumbags flee the bar, and Hex is still drawn down on them. Here Slogo's polishing off a bottle. Later that evening, Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight? Come out tonight. Buffalo gals, won't you? So they're sauced up pretty good, singing, making their way through the dark little town. Need a couple of rooms. Ain't got but one. And great panel here of Hex and Slogo looking at each other. Do they really want to share a room? You got bugs? Took a bath in kerosene a week ago. Killed them. Snore? I ain't got no truck with snorers. Ain't never stayed up to find out. Give us the room. So Hex puts his crude scrawl on the hotelman's ledger here. Ain't but a couple of cowboys slept here since we changed the sheets. Where's the dad-burned room? So it's a very tiny room. And we can hear Slogo, although he doesn't know it, is in fact a horrible snorer. If there's one thing I can't abide, it's a snorer. You sound like an army of bad carpenters. Sleep in the barn. Hex, you contrary fart. I saved your life. Great shot here of this sign. No spitting in the hall. And I just saved yourn. You was anyone else, I'd have shot you. Sleep at the stable with the horses. Damn persnickety son of a... So here he goes to the livery. I don't normally let nobody sleep here. It ain't good for business. I don't want to do no damn business. I want to sleep. I'll charge you same as your horse. And here we see those bodies that were alluded to earlier that have been preserved, and you can view them for 5 cents each. Very creepy here. These them stuffed price fellas, ain't they? Don't reckon there are nobody else, and I figure you owe me a nickel for the look you're getting. My partner, Hex, said put these sleeping quarters on his livery bill, so add the damn nickel too. So Slogo lays down, and then we see something. We get a nice panel here, isolating on that corpse's face, his eye. We see the moon rise high and full, and Hex is awake. Can't go back to sleep. Guess I could count and shoot sheep. And Slogo is awakened by a crunch. If it ain't one damn thing, it's two. So to his horror, he sees that one of the Price Gang corpses is actually walking, and he shoots him repeatedly, emptying his 6-gun into him. Hell, ain't you dead yet? Great sequence here. Again, sparse dialogue, sparse script, but at the end we see this one bit of dialogue where Slogo is lamenting, why can't you kill this guy? And meanwhile, back at the room, Hex, who's awake, hears the shooting. Bang, bang, bang. Sounded like the racket was coming from the livery. Figured that'd be Slogo. He wasn't snoring. He was shooting. Great profile panel, or blackout panel here of Hex leaping from the roof. Very cool silhouette, showing his flowing hair and his 2 guns. And then we see, of course, Slogo is out of ammunition, but this corpse apparently isn't, and he shoots. And then our last panel is of that deteriorating corpse's head with a weird rictus grin. Next, invitation to a hanging. So we've got a cool 2-page letter page here, which talks about briefly about the history of the Jonah Hex character, why they felt it was a good time to bring him back under the Vertigo imprint for DC, because it was going to be more of a weird Western. They recruited Joe Lansdale because he's a noted writer in that area of horror and Weird West. And then they have some letters from fans that discuss why it would be great to bring Hex back, and just a cool kind of way to fill out the issue. And then we get some publishing information here, and a next issue, which is very cool, hinting at some of the weirdness that's to come. This looks like Buffalo Bill here. Looks like an undead version of him. And our next issue blurb: has Slogo Smith made his last stand? And why did the fine folks of Mud Creek want Hex's knot in a noose? Don't miss Invitation to a Hangin' by Joe, Tim, Sam, Todd, and Stuart. So this was Jonah Hex, Two Gun Mojo #1 from DC Comics, published in 1993 under their Vertigo imprint. A great reintroduction of Jonah Hex into the DC universe. As I said during my read-through, this should have been the Jonah Hex movie. This is fantastic. Found this in a dollar bin at Ides Comics. If you ever come across this or the follow-up limited series, Riders of the Worm and such, by the same team in a dollar bin, by all means, snatch them up. They are well worth the buck you will spend on them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll bring you more soon. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again here on Scott Reads Comics. Thanks for watching.